Hey, husband.
What it do, baby boo?
And hey, everybody. We got Big D here.
And Patty.
And we are
End Zone Enthusiasts.
So this week there was so many great games. In fact, we really struggled to narrow down which ones to talk about, but we figured it out. And so we're going to be talking about Oklahoma versus Texas, Oregon versus Indiana, Georgia versus Auburn, then our personal teams that we pull for, but sad stories with FSU playing Pittsburgh and Florida Gators playing Texas A&M. So, let's get into it. Pew, 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 it's a shootout.
Kind of one-sided shootout, really.
So this is going to be Oklahoma, Texas, an SEC game, and the Red River Rivalry.
Shootout. As Josh Pate says, it's the Red River Shootout.
Red River Shootout. It is. They played at a neutral site.
The Texas State Fair, where you can go out at halftime. You could have got you a corn dog, a funnel cake. Like, more games need to do this. So good. Shout out to y'all for that.
Okay. Yes.
Sorry, I was hungry.
Now, some of the important moments were Oklahoma was intercepted 3 times. Plus, there was missed field goals. And Texas scored this crazy touchdown on special teams, like a punt reception or whatever. And all said and done, the higher ranked Oklahoma team lost 6-23. And up until then, Oklahoma had a perfect record.
Yeah, Texas was unranked after their loss to Florida last week. So Oklahoma was the ranked team in this one. And they were ranked number 6. It didn't go the way they thought it would. Really, it was, I think John Mateer was rushed back way too soon. I think he really needed more time. I think he returned 17 days after having a hand surgery. And you kind of saw it where he threw interceptions. They were able to get pressure. And really, the determining factor was the fact that Oklahoma could not run the ball to save their life. They averaged 1.6 yards per carry. And we know you can't do anything if you're not running the ball. And so a lot of those put John Mateer in a pickle where he was like kind of having to make some crazy throws that, Texas anticipated. Texas's defense was good last week against Florida. They didn't prep for Dallas Wilson, and you couldn't have because there was no real film on it.
Right.
But this week, definitely Texas got back to their winning ways, and it was dominant. Like, the defense was suffocating in a way that I expected Texas to be, against Ohio State at the beginning of the season, the way they were against Florida. Arch Manning looked a lot better. He didn't have any big turnovers. He was sacked, I think, once versus where he got sacked 6 times last week against Florida. So it was much better play all around. But Oklahoma, I don't know if it's coming into this game, they don't know how to get up because this is the second loss they've had against Texas. And it just wasn't even close this time. And I think it's going to make you ask bigger questions. And then to give a little shout out to Texas, they had some struggles in pass protection last week against Florida, but they definitely fixed those issues. But overall, it was the Texas defense that was suffocating. And it was really Arch Manning didn't make mistakes where John Mateer made way too many to keep in the game. So it went down 23-6. And I anticipate the way that they unranked Texas last week after losing to Florida, Oklahoma they may still be ranked, but it probably will be low. And I hope that this will put Texas back in the rankings because they're still a really good team, have a lot to play for. And I think they are still going to do great things this season. But yeah, this one definitely wasn't what I expected, but good game overall.
Sorry, Oklahoma.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Sorry,
and Texas, I'm sorry. I feel like it was an empty loss against Florida. We didn't do anything with it. So I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Because what? Yeah. But
on to the next.
On to the next one.
Sarah, who's your next team? Would it happen to be Oregon versus Indiana? You see what I did there? The Oregon Ducks playing Indiana Hoosiers.
Oh, Jesus.
This is a Big Ten game. They played at Oregon.
Oh, my God.
Now, I did think that it was a hard-fought game because there was scoring by both teams in every single quarter, but Indiana definitely outperformed in terms of yardage, which earned them more opportunities to score. And so the high-ranked Oregon lost at home 20-30.
Ooh, yeah, it was a hard fought game, and I think that you saw a lot of really positive things on both sides that both teams can take back. I think the big difference was really in quarterback, where Fernando Mendoza on the Indiana side just looked more calm. He looked more ready for the moment. He had some impressive plays. He ended up throwing for 215 yards and a go-ahead touchdown in the fourth. He did really great. Dante Moore, he struggled a little bit in this game. I think Indiana played a little bit more tough than what they may have seen. And really it just came down to like it kind of waned in a way where it was like, okay, Oregon's looking good. Oregon's looking good. And then you kind of seen the Indiana really grab that momentum. And it's a big deal for Indiana. I think this is like their first win versus a ranked team or like a top 5 team since 1967. So shout out to them. They also ended Oregon's 18-game home win streak since they've joined the Big Ten. So a good thing. I think how you're going to see it moving forward is Indiana's going to continue to build, but Oregon is going to still be good. They were always anticipated to be kind of next year was going to be the year for Dante to get his feet under him. And I think you're going to see that come, but it's just one season too early. We saw some great things, but it's a young quarterback. He's going to continue to grow, continue to develop. He needs those real game reps, but I think Oregon's still going to be relevant, but I think it really puts Indiana on notice that they're actually a national contender and a Big Ten contender, especially right now with what just happened with Penn State firing James Franklin. I think that like Indiana can actually catapult in a different way now because they'll have a lot more of the momentum. But good game, hard fought. Oregon, love those uniforms. I'm always going to have to give shout outs to that because that was
it's Big Ten coming up, really.
Yeah, they needed that Oregon Nike money to show them what's capable.
They've been having Nike money.
Yeah, but when you bring that to the Big Ten and you're on a bigger stage and stuff like that, I think that Indiana's going to continue to build. It's just, can they continue to keep this momentum as they continue to go through the season? Because this is a program kind of defining win to beat Oregon, who's a top 3 team. But I think they definitely look like a playoff contender.
Okay, so now a classic tale of dog chasing a cat, aka Georgia versus Auburn. We got the Georgia Bulldogs versus Auburn Tigers. They played at Auburn. Also, did you know this is the Deep South oldest rivalry? You probably already knew that.
Yeah, I knew that, but I had a different idea of what the rivalry should have been in the South. But that's a different conversation from my other channel.
Okay. Now, the Auburn Tigers did get the first strike, earning 10-ish unanswered points because it was around that point that we got the craziest fumble of all because it happened where? At the goal line.
I don't know if that was a fumble, but that's not for me. Let me not get fined for questioning some of the calls from the referees.
Yeah, it was. You got to see this fumble, like at the line, and then the guy picked up the ball and ran it all the way to the other side, which didn't count, but he still tried. The game was even tied in the third quarter, but you know how Georgia Bulldogs be doing. They turned aggressive in the second half and scored 17 unanswered points, which led to them defeating Auburn in front of their own home crowd, 20-10.
I think really the goal line fumble was really the biggest point of this game because it did shift the momentum. I've seen a couple of the reviews. I've seen everybody's point of view on it. Put yours down below whether you believe that it was a fumble or a touchdown.
Yeah, check out that play.
I think it should have been a touchdown, but it's here nor there. But that was a big deal because that really swung the momentum. But it seemed like Auburn got defeated in that moment and didn't know what to do from there. Their offense kind of started regressing and slowing down. In the second half, they really didn't have much momentum at all. Georgia truly is a second half team. So, like we've talked about before, they'll let you score in the first half. They'll let you kind of look good, but really those in-game adjustments is what Georgia does better than most teams. And so third and fourth was them kind of suffocating the offense. But have to give a shout out, Auburn's defense still looked really, really good. They played hard the entire game. They caused some situations for Gunnar Stockton that were very uncomfortable. But really it was Auburn kind of faded. Their offense faded in the second half, and Georgia just had more stamina. But overall, I think it was a good performance. Where does Auburn go from here? Georgia, on the other hand, they still have some really big games that are going to be coming up. Can you fix some of these things? Because I think we're seeing that Georgia does have some chinks in the armor, and there are ways that they can be beaten, but I don't know if Auburn was the right team to do it. And then it does also make you question the Jackson Arnold decision. Like, you could have got another big name quarterback. You could have put more resource into getting, a better quarterback, but they decided to go with Jackson Arnold, which he wasn't terrible, but I think you see he may not be the right quarterback to get them there. Hugh Freeze may have made the wrong quarterback decision, which may doom his time in Auburn. So I know he's on the hot seat. Georgia got the win, definitely fought hard for it. So shout out to them. But yeah,
yep.
Auburn has a regroup.
Lena, the dogs beat the cats. I'm sorry. They beat them. I'm sorry. She was pulling for the Auburn Tigers. I'm sorry.
That's her cousin.
Okay, you ready?
No.
I know. Now we got to talk about our teams that we like to root for, that we were hoping for good things, but unfortunately we're disappointed. So we'll start with my alma mater, which is FSU, who came in ranked and they were playing Pitt. This is an ACC game. We got the Florida State Seminoles playing the Panthers. They did play in Tallahassee at FSU. This was a very high scoring game, which I thought was notable. There was points in every single quarter, which really left me, even early on, like disappointed in the Florida State defense, because they should not have even let Pitt get downfield so much to have those opportunities to be able to score. And there is this question of like effort versus execution. I'm kind of leaning more towards like, at the end of the day, FSU did not have enough effort to win. And so, in fact, the ranked Seminoles lost 31-34 to Pitt.
This game really, if you score 31 points, you should be able to win a game. And this defense was not able to stop anything really. And Pitt kind of had their way. And I think it leads to bigger questions on Mike Norvell and his tenure, because now it's been over a year since they've won an ACC game, which I don't think a lot of people realize. When the Alabama job came up, he was able to leverage, get a nice contract extension, to try to keep him there. But it's really a where do you go from here kind of moment, because the talent is better than what you had last year and you have more players that are bought in. It comes down to, is Mike Norvell the right coach? And if you look at FSU football, he's one of the only coaches that's had multiple 3-game losing streaks. I think there's been like 7 for FSU, if I'm not mistaken, and 3 of those have belonged to Mike Norvell. So it really leads to bigger questions on where does FSU go from here? Because I just think that you're up against a wall, and I think the money is going to be what really keeps him there. But as Penn State's figured out, like, the money doesn't matter if you can't move forward.
Right.
So we'll see what happens in this one, but I think this one should not have happened. Florida State should have won that game pretty easily.
I was totally expecting them to win that game easily.
But we'll see what Mike Norvell does. But I'm sure they are not happy, and especially after they just put that money into that really nice stadium renovation.
Yes.
Like, what are we doing?
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
So, but, my Florida hater side says.
So now for my husband's team, we'll go to Florida Gators, who played Texas A&M. This is an SEC game. So yeah, the Gators versus the Aggies. They did play at A&M. Now, I heard that this was A&M's last home game for quite a while. They were saying like their next 5 games are going to be away. So what does that mean? That means that that's a lot of pressure to win. You don't want to leave your audience on a loss and then they have to like kind of ruminate on that. That's not what ended up happening. Now, I thought that the Florida defense looked totally different compared to last week. Last week, we had all these sacks on Texas. And so A&M had over 100 more rushing yards than Florida did. Now, for Florida's offense, I did see DJ struggle to find open receivers, so that's kind of a factor. But Jaden Baugh and VB3 both still had amazing plays. I say Jaden Ball is like a fighter. I've never seen somebody stiff arm so much on their plays. And so Texas A&M was able to win 34-17.
Yeah, this game, like, honestly, I didn't think we were going to win it, to be realistic.
Okay.
For me, it was I wanted to see us be able to still go toe-to-toe because from a talent profile, we're not that far off from Texas A&M, and I don't think we should have had the score be so lopsided. But this really, for me, this should have been the game afterwards. We should have got the Pete Thamel announcement that Billy Napier was fired. It's really just now at a point of when are you going to cut ties? Because it's not there. I think that Billy has done a phenomenal job with the infrastructure, with building a great culture, with having players who truly are good human beings and who don't have the problems that we've had before and who are rooting for greater things and they have more resource and support for these football players. But I think at this point, it's a crime for these amazing players not to have the right coaching and the right leadership in place because the defense was pretty good. There was a lot of holes that I saw and I was like, this is not going to work. And I expected a better performance. And to my earlier point, this was almost like a waste. Why did we beat Texas if we were going to look this way against Texas A&M, who both of those will meet at the last game of the season? But it's just really disappointing again to see this where Billy doesn't win on the road and he doesn't win against a lot of these big name people. And with this loss, I think he's 500 as a coach at Florida. He's been given the resource. I know a lot of people like to criticize Scott Strickland, but in reality, Scott Strickland did what you're supposed to do as an athletic director and give your coach what he needs to be successful. It's on your coach to do something with that. So I think it is time to turn that page, but Texas A&M will keep going far this season. I think they look like a great team. They look like the top 5 ranked team that they were, but Florida definitely, it's going to be a long season from here because at what point do you cut the ties? I know we're going to lose some talent, but a lot of it, I think if you get the right coach, you'll be able to retain a lot of that and then also be able to bring in some high-level transfers like other coaches have done. So we'll see what happens, but very disappointed to see this loss from Florida. But at least we're in this together.
We're in it together.
So we can commiserate here at home.
We're going to commiserate and we'll keep an eye on the Gators.
Yeah, so let's go.
All right, Big D, this has been a wild season. What do we have this weekend coming up?
I don't think we're ready for this. We have number 10 LSU versus number 17 Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt actually opens as the favorite for this game.
I'm not surprised. I'm not necessarily surprised.
If this was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, I wouldn't have believed it. The other one is going to be number 5 Ole Miss versus number 9 Georgia. That's going to be a big deal to a battle of the top 10s. You have number 11 Tennessee at Alabama, number 6 Alabama. Wow. That's going to be a really good one.
Yeah.
And then you have the USC Trojans ranked number 20 versus the number 13 ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Right. And USC just had an upset this week. So.
Yeah. They just beat Michigan this week. And then the last one I have to throw in because, Brent Key is still on my list for head coach for Florida.
Hey, Brent.
Number 12, Georgia Tech takes on unranked Duke. And just so you know, Duke's head coach has also been mentioned with the Penn State job. So a lot of stuff to watch, but I think we have another exciting week of football. If you would comment, we have 3 things you can comment.
You can do. What's these questions we got?
Yeah, I like questions. So number 1 is going to be, who do you think wins the Big Ten?
Who's going to win Big Ten?
Number 2, who do you think is going to be the next Penn State head coach?
Who the Penn State next head coach?
And number 3, who do you think is going to win the SEC?
Ooh, that's tough. Who's going to win the SEC?
So you can answer one or all of these, but as always, we thank you for watching. We thank you for joining in with us. Here at End Zone Enthusiasts, we feel football can be fun for everyone. So please like, subscribe, share with a friend. And we just thank you. We are doing something a little different in the space, being non-traditional sports lover, sharing our love and passion for the game. So thank you for following. We look forward to seeing you next week. And as always, I'm going to say, peace.
Peace.